might seem a little bit strange that I'm talking to you today about this. I mean, it's not the kind of thing that you would expect to find on my channel. But I did hear the news recently that teenage pregnancy has gone up in this country. And this is a subject that I feel really strongly about. It's a very controversial subject, I know. It's something that's been disputed a lot. So I just wanted to talk to you about some kind of issues that are my opinions, really. So yeah, I know that a lot of the reasons for being pro-life are reasons of religion. And I'm an atheist, which kind of doesn't give me that whole factor, but I am pro-life. I would never go and picket an abortion clinic or something like that, or I would never tell anybody what they're doing is wrong. I would never try and force my opinions on somebody else in this position, because I think it's amazing that we live in a country where we have that choice and we can make those decisions for ourselves. But I can't see it as a collection of cells. It is a living thing. That's just the way I feel. If you let that collection of cells develop and grow, it will grow eventually into a baby. I mean, we all saw a few years ago the baby born at 25 weeks, and it needed a lot of medical attention. It was really sick and it was really, really tiny, but it did survive. And I think that just shows that a lot of people don't understand the level that their baby is at when they're making these decisions, and they don't understand what abortion involves, the different types of abortion, how they're going to feel after it. It can be so stressful emotionally, it can really mess somebody up not being prepared. I think that a lot of young people make that decision without thinking about it, or they make it just thinking, well, if anything does happen, if I make a mistake, then I can do that. I have that choice. And I think that people need to stop doing that, because it's not a decision that you can just make in a few minutes. It's kind of what I think. For a lot of young people, I think telling your parents what you've done and having to go through the pregnancy process is obviously something that you want to avoid. It's really, really tough. But I think if you cannot look after that child, if you cannot emotionally and financially support a child, you really should consider giving the child up for adoption before you consider abortion, because God knows it's hard. I mean, I could never do that. I don't think I could ever give up a baby that I've carried. I mean, I get really upset when I have to give up the Xbox controller for 5 minutes, if you know what I mean. But I think it should be hard. I think that people should realise the consequences of their actions and their mistakes, and I think that it should be a really hard thing to do. That's just the way I feel. There are so many couples in the world that would make fantastic parents that are in the position, more than the younger people, to become parents. There are gay lesbian couples. There are people that would benefit so much, and I do think that the adoption process should be easier, but that's probably a whole other section. So bottom line, teenage pregnancy. I don't think that people that young should be having sex. I think it's 16 for a reason. I think 16 is probably the right age to be emotionally ready to have sex. And that's what I think. I think when you're 16, there is no excuse for having mistakes. It's really not that difficult to use condoms. It's really not that hard for a 16-year-old girl to get on the pill, and there's enough information in our society. There are adverts about contraception on television all the time, every single day. Sex is everywhere. There is no excuse for not knowing the facts at that age. I know that a lot of Scandinavian countries and other countries in Europe have a younger age of consent, but even though sex is pretty much out there in our culture, I still think we have a little bit of a sensitivity towards it, that we can't lower the age of consent. I think it's fine the way it is. I don't think you're ready to be having sex when you're 13, 14, 15. I really don't. And I know that a lot of children feel really pressured into doing these kind of things by their friends. And I understand. I was a kid, I had these kind of problems like only 6-7 years ago about trying to be accepted and just wanting to be popular. I wasn't the most popular person, and I know that it feels like everything to be accepted by your friends, to be popular when you're that age. But the beauty of that is you grow up and you realise that it so isn't. It's just not important at all. It really isn't. And I think that a lot of young people need to realise how much they will change, how much their opinions are going to change in the next few years. Because when you get past the teenage years, you realise that you might have been really stupid. And I know that a lot of people regret their first times this way as well. So I definitely think that, I know, guys, that wearing condom it's not great, you know, it's better without it. But if you don't sleep around and you find somebody that you really like, then you can think about her going on the pill. Or you can wait a while until you're ready for a child. And then you can have as much sex as you want. And I'm not saying that people have to be married. It's just the emotional and the financial aspects. That's what you really need to be ready for before you consider having a child. And I think that a lot of young people just need to realise that sex isn't everything, and they really, really need to wait. But I also think that sex education in schools should give you a lot more information. It should tell you that. It should tell you about the emotional side of sex. And I think that we should definitely learn about gay and lesbian sex as well. I think that people need to know, because contrary to popular belief or shallow and idiotic belief, it is an ordered choice. So that's kind of what I think. And I think that people should really think about what they're doing before they rush into sex and think about the consequences. And I also think that the horrible birthing video, which made like 2 people in my class faint, should be shown to everybody. I think sex education should start the last 2 years of primary school or junior school or elementary school, grade school, whatever the hell you call it. But that's what I believe. And I know that some of the things I probably said are going to be quite controversial, and I'm really, really looking forward to reading your comments about it, because the reason that we have opinions is for them to be challenged. So that's really all I have to say, and thank you for listening.